Amen. You know, sometimes after listening to such a powerful song, as a preacher, you wonder what's the point of standing up? What's the point? The whole message has been sung. But because we are stubborn, follow programs like the Bible. All the message. This song reminds me of a friend who was translating songs from Zulu to Tsonga, and we got to this song, and it just did wonders. I lost that friend to got married, and I lost him. He got married, that man, and I lost him. Got married. Well, I was opposed to that marriage. I was opposed to that marriage. I'm not opposed to marriage, I was opposed to that one. Opposed to it, but he was not opposed to it, that's why he's married. So I got married. I hope he's happy, my friend. But we worked on this song, and when we got to it, it really did wonders. We're still young, and it did wonders. Thanks a lot, guys, for some of these young people while they were still young. Beautiful music. Church of God, this is the sermon of God for you. Don't have long sermons to waste your time. Very short, 2 points, and then we're done. 2 points, and then we're done. The question that I'm dealing with is a very simple question. We're asking ourselves the question, why was Paul's ministry effective? Why was Paul's ministry effective? On the background to this question is the question that, it's not even a question, it's a fact. Why is our minister so ineffective? So we're looking into history to make sense of our dismal failure. Looking into history to look into our dismal failure. I know some of you think that we are not failing. We're not failing. I was driving in Tanzania the other day. As I was driving, I was looking at each and every house, and I was saying, how is their life or their lives without our message? If we think that we've got something that makes all the moral and ethical and political difference in people's lives, if they don't have it, it means their lives are worse off. That's how you measure failure or success. So I've stopped thinking of our success in terms of how big our churches are. Because even if we have a struggle that accommodates 1,000 people, there's still 55 million people who are not benefiting from ministry.
Wow.
So the categories of thought when we think about evangelism must transcend our denominational commitment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Denominationalism tends to make you very parochial, and it becomes a constraint when you have to think about the good that you want to bring to the world. More and more you must learn to think as an Adventist but forget Adventism.
Good point.
That kind of balance is very difficult because we fail to manage our commitments. Our commitments manage us, and then they become instruments of damage. You go to a funeral and you're so committed to Adventism, you think that family needs to hear about the Sabbath than to get healing through this painful experience. Your commitment blinds you to the fact that these are people who are hurt. The truth doesn't become beautiful, it becomes irrelevant and a damaging point. So these are some of the things that have been bothering me. You know, I was struck driving through the place. And I was thinking, we need to think about how to impact people's lives. Even so much that even if they don't come to our church, we know that we have left them with a normative package that's going to make them useful in their homes. Because the abuse that you see, you're not going to manage it in the church, you need to manage it in the house. So I don't need them here, I need what I have there. I understand that why you need them here. It has economic implications for the church. I understand. I'm not in the payroll of the church. I'm here as a volunteering speaker. So I don't have those kinds of commitments. My commitment is, look, I'm part of these institutions, I'm committed to these institutions, but I'm committed to something much more fundamental in human life. The human life is my commitment, not institutions. Institutions are designed to facilitate a message. I'm not committed to the facilitator. I'm committed to what we're facilitating the message. We tend to confuse the two. So that's why God had to choose Paul, because Paul had transcended that kind of parochial world view. Paul understood himself. So I have 2 points. That's not one of my points. I have 2 points. The first point I want to talk about is Paul's commitment to Christ. The second point I want to talk about is the politics and ethics of Paul's commitment. Those 2 points. I reduce Paul's effectiveness to these 2 points. There's a point I had, which was a critique to Paul. Some of the limitations of Paul. All the limitations of Paul. I'm going to leave that. To not offend Adventists here, because very political points. So, I know people love the verses. Chapter 17, verse 6, Book of Acts. 17, verse 6, Book of Acts. Book of Acts. 17, verse 6, Book of Acts. So that's a verse that indicates how effective they were. They used such a dramatic language that these are men who had turned the world upside down. That's what the verse effectively say. These are men who had turned the world upside down. So I was giving you that verse to say, look, this man was effective. What's the point? How do we get to that? There's verse that says they had turned the world upside down. Yeah. Verse 6 of the 17.
Towards the end of this.
Just towards the end. Turn the world upside down. How can a man like Paul do this? How can a man like Paul do this? How can a man like Paul be able to turn the world upside down? And let's look into that particular life. So, the first point in relation to the first point, Paul's relationship to Christ. Paul's relationship to Christ. Paul had the privilege of writing about his relationship with Christ. Every time he starts his epistles, he starts by discussing relationship with Christ. Yeah. Romans 1:1-2, Galatians 1:1-2. He refers to himself as a servant of Christ. Refers himself as a servant of Christ. So some versions use even a stronger word, not that of a servant, but that of a slave. So Paul, to think of his relationship with Christ, he imagines a master-slave relationship. Christ is his master. He is a slave. And the idea of a slave is very interesting here, because it signifies the kind of subjecthood that Paul has assumed in relation to Christ. Fundamentally, a slave is one that is characterized by living death. When you are a slave, you are dead, except that you are not in your grave yet. The most important faculty that accounts for your humanity has been switched off. And that faculty is the faculty that you are a willing being. The will, which is central in organizing your existence. That faculty that's responsible for you choosing how to be in the world, what to be in the world, what to do with this thing that is you in the world is switched off. Yeah. Another person's body, you become an extension of another person's body. They live their lives through you. You become their extension. If they want a baby, you become a sex machine to reproduce a baby. If they want a worker, you become a worker. Whatever they want, you become. They tell you when to sleep, they tell you when to wake up. Paul imagines his relationship to Christ like that. Paul says, I am so disrupted in my humanity that to manage my humanity, it has to be outsourced. Business process outsourcing. I'm outsourced. My life is outsourced. It is managed from outside of me. That's why when Paul thinks of himself, says, I die daily. He is in a struggle not to be so that he can experience being. He imagines his life in those terms, where your life is disrupted by something outside of you so that you could be found.
Hallelujah.
The more I am not becoming, the more I'm engaging in the process of becoming. I refuse me so that I could be accepted by him and I could be useful in his hands. The crisis we're facing in the church today, there is so much of us. So much of us. We have to worry about your status before we plan things. We have to worry about clothes before we come to church. We have to worry about your address. We have to worry about all these things. And then we crowd out Christ. Much of our time as an indication of our existence is absorbed elsewhere. Practically and indexically. Even what we're paid for, where it's going, indicates where we are. So to measure where your existence is, look at your money, where you spend it tells you where your commitment is. Because your time, you have sold it. You have sold your time. And then they pay for your time. It's yours. That's why you're spending it like that. So we really captured, really. We really captured. As if you complain about the pictures, we are captured. We are really captured. And the problem with this kind of capturing is that it is in direct competition with Christ. Direct competition with Christ. The major projects in our lives. What are the major projects in our lives? The most important project in Paul's life was allowing himself to be externally managed by Christ. To carry the cross as a symbol of his existence. Now Paul marries his life to death. That's why he says, the cross is what I'm carrying daily. The cross is what I'm carrying daily. So when Paul thinks about sacrifice, he's really imagining death as what defines a Christian. Not prosperity, not comfort, not expensive holidays, not expensive schools, not all of those things are important to this man. This man says, I want the cross. And the cross signifies, it's a sign of shame. It's a sign of shame. Paul says, if I can live without this, it will be a waste. Let me take the cross. So the first question that we must ask ourselves when we are engaged in this project of Christianity, how much have we allowed Christ to disrupt us? How much have we allowed him to disrupt us? Many of us are managing the disruption of Christ. Christ can only do so much. So in a very literal sense, Paul was an extremist.
He was.
Very extremist. So committed to this thing that he allowed it to shape his entire worldview. And thought of himself as a slave, other than being a slave to other things. So you must ask yourself, where is your commitment? Where is your commitment? Where is your commitment? So here's a man who gives his life totally to Christ and allows his life to be an instantiation of the possibilities that Christ can create in a human life. From morning to evening, Christ is the central point of focus. So I think that's the first point that talks to the issue of how committed Paul was to Christ, that he subjected himself to him as a slave. How do we get there? How do we get there? Adventists love status. Status is everything to us. I don't know why we love status so much. I'm always fighting people with the issue of status. And I need to be very practical. Some of the cars that we are driving are taking money from the gospel. On the judgment day, things will be very difficult. God will be looking into the installments we are paying. God will be looking into it. On the judgment day, it's going to be tough. Those of adults will say, wait a minute, we're coming to adult. Let's just deal with. We're not dealing with your body. We're not just dealing with the car. The things we're coming to. You realize this now. We're going at we're starting at the garage. We're coming to the bedroom. Wait. Don't rush. Because these are instances of our commitment. These are instances of where our commitment is. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. When God says, how much did you esteem a loss of a soul against the money that you're spending here?
Wow.
When that question is asked, when God will be looking into how many times you went to restaurants. Because I don't have an issue with going to a restaurant. My issue is what commitment and communicating. What commitment and communicating. What commitment and communicating. It's going to be rough. I fear for myself. It's going to be tough. So fundamentally, we are not yet disrupted. We're not yet disrupted. So that's the first point I wanted to deal with. Thank you. The body is disrupting with sweat. The second point I want to deal with in relation to his commitment, how he thinks about in terms of slavery, is a point related to that he had given himself mind, soul, and body, right? Everything. He had given it to Christ. And look, this was so fundamental that when this thing, so Paul was a Pharisee, right? Was a Pharisee, and he joined Christianity, and when he joins, it gives him a lot of liberties. Paul says, I forgo all those liberties for the sake of Christ. He could have been married. He said, I don't have time. I don't have time for a family. I don't have time. Adventist brothers are debating polygamy. This one says, I don't have time. I am so committed to saving the world. I don't have time. Adventist preachers are dealing with cheating. Cheating. What's up? Everywhere scattered talking. Christian Paul says, I don't have time. Don't have time for all of those things. Not even for a legitimate one, even for illegitimate ones. The talk of commitment was so deep that even things that were permissible to him, he prohibited them himself. When people start working, they start saving for the world. First salary, 10,000 for the world. And that marriage is not imagined in light of the gospel. It's imagined in light of Adventist status. Everything you see, the venues, the cars, the clothes, and Facebook. Show the world. Lift up Christ. I'm not against these things. I love these things. I love them very much. I just hate how we love them.
That's right. That's right.
So, the kind of commitment, the things that are permissible to me, I leave them. I pursue things that are more important to the commitment to this Christ. So everything becomes subjected to this thing. The second point I want to deal with in terms of Paul's commitment is the point relating to epistemic mastery. Paul didn't just surrender himself, his body and everything. Paul wanted to have mastery even over the resources he was going to use, the Bible. He needed to have an in-depth understanding of the Bible, what I call epistemic mastery. There is the intellectual laziness of great proportions in the church. People don't read the Bible, let alone anything. People don't read in this church. People are lazy to read. People are lazy. People only read when they've got degrees and because they paid for those. But there is no robust culture of wanting to have epistemic mastery over the Bible. You know, I say at the age of 12, Christ seemed to know the whole Bible. That age seemed to know the whole Bible. Hence he can go and debate with the Pharisees. don't understand these things. Every time we're in our homes, we have to read the Bible, people are falling asleep. But when we have to watch a wedding, what, people are wide awake and laughing and commenting on Facebook and commenting everywhere else while they comment nothing about the Bible. People always tell us about their promotions and everything, but nothing about the Bible. And Paul understood the Bible. He made the Bible his resource.
Amen.
He relied on the Bible. So reliant on the Bible that he produced about 25% of the Bible. So his reading of the Bible was not parasitic, just to gain knowledge. He was constructive at the same time.
Correct.
He wrote the Bible. And the writing of the Bible is interesting by Paul. He's dealing with real situation and constructing narratives out of what he had mastered himself. And those narratives are part of what we call the New Testament. Much of the New Testament is based on this man's epistemic mastery. This man shaped how we're going to think about Christ.
Yeah.
He becomes one of the important windows or a perspective through which we look at the life of Christ, among others. That's how committed he was to this epistemic project. Why this is important? This is important for one important reason. Civilizations tend to have narratives.
Yeah.
And civilization that thrives are those whose narratives are sold, promoted, and defended.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Paul had to come into this civilization and say, I've got a opposing narrative. I've got a opposing narrative. And he had to construct this narrative. He had to defend this narrative. Today, how do you defend, how do you advocate what you don't know? Some of our doctrines are very strange and difficult. Very strange and difficult. If we have to discuss the details of the third angel's message, many become baffled and confused. When we have to get to the 22nd of October. Now, that's not theological, that's empirical. Because you have to go through calendars. And you have to choose which calendar to go to. And why that calendar among competing calendars among the Jews. Some are already lost. Some are already lost. I didn't even go to Mastercard. I didn't have time. I didn't have time for Mastercard. Because books were here. I don't need Mastercard when books are here. And one of the weaknesses of our society is that we believe in curriculum so much. Believe in curriculum so much. Until you die, you're in curriculums. Alright, so that's my issue. Just we don't find organic intellectuals. That's why some of us ask very disturbing questions. Because we know what you're telling us, but we're asking you why do you believe it. Don't think we don't know it. We've read all of that. Read many years ago. The 8,000 something, volume 1 to volume 9 testaments, I've read them. As a young, I've read them. I'm not surprised by them. I have read them. But now when we do the interrogation, because everyone says, by interrogating the truth, we're not going to take away its truthfulness.
Hallelujah.
But people are caught into denominationalism, they're afraid. Because their positions may be wrong, not the truth. Separate the position from the truth. Those are two different things. Must always be willing to surrender your position, not surrender the truth. And your position may just not be the truth. So, look, I'm a philosopher, so look, so that culture of a man who's doing the gospel, but he's a thinking man. He's a thinking man. Paul is a thinking man. He's not a stupid. He's a thinking man, and he's engaging in conversation, because he understands that the Hellenistic culture had influenced the world, right? And that was a very intellectual culture. So he understands, how do I engage this world? He understands that the Pharisees, the Jews, very intellectual movement. How do I engage these people? We live in a world where there are so many isms. How do I engage that? How does the Bible become a useful resource? How does it become a useful resource? How does the Bible speak to human life? How does the Bible speak to issues that are affecting people now? The Bible can become so useless in the hands of Adventists. I saw Marikana, nothing from the Adventist community. Nothing. I thought there's going to be a statement from, I want to mention hierarchies of the church. That's politically correct. I thought there would be a statement. There was nothing. Capitalism gone away with murder. Political organization gone away with murder. And the church didn't raise a voice.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nothing from us. We could not marshal from the Bible a word of justice, a word of mercy. There was nothing. I thought I was going to see Archer going to assist those families, going to the rural Eastern Cape. So, our message was supposed. So epistemic mastery makes us to be able to take the Bible and use it as a resource to speak to issues. That's why in the morning I raised issues of women, because those issues are important.
Hallelujah.
It was not by mistake when I was raising issues about the agency of Eve. The issues of women must be addressed in the church. They must be addressed. The humanity of womanhood must be questioned, and we must understand, do we really take them to be human? And then we think about the political decisions we make.
Exactly.
We must ask ourselves, do you treat them as equal as men? Why then politically the playing out is not like that? We must ask ourselves those questions. And we must ask ourselves those questions in light of understanding that in the Bible, the sociology we read there is one that oppresses women.
Correct.
On the one hand, you find a man losing one sheep, has 100. On the other hand, you find a young man and a father, no mother. He takes away wealth. And the middle is a woman dealing with coins. It's not by coincidence she's dealing with coins. It's social marginalization. It's oppression economically. And Christ brings it out to us. Where the young man takes wealth and comes back to wealth.
Yeah, man is counting coins. Yes. Like now.
Then, when we are given that sociology, we must ask ourselves, how does the Bible become a resource to challenge some of these social constructions which are not God's design?
Hallelujah.
But you need to have some epistemic mastery of the resource. Epistemic mastery of the resource. So that the Bible becomes a place for emancipatory possibilities. How do we liberate those, right, who can't eat with other people? How do we come eat here? Who can't sit with certain people because of whatever? How do we create space for them? It's the point of the gospel. Very political, very disruptive, and very dangerous. That's why Christ died. Because they understood that this is very dangerous stuff. The smiling gospel, I don't get it. So for me, epistemic mastery for purposes of imagining possibilities for other people, expanding possibilities, because the gospel is about inclusion. And all political formation is about exclusion. The politics of Christ, how to exclude. Go unto all nations. The emphasis on universal quantifier. All. Because it's the gospel of inclusion. Yes. Gospel of inclusion. So we need to rethink our language of how do we do the gospel. Is our language inclusive or exclusive? I'm talking here about tactic, not talking about content. So epistemic mastery is for those purposes. And that's why God was able to choose Paul, not Peter. Because in Galatians chapter 2, you could see that Peter was captured by a Judaic tradition. He was stuck on circumcision. And Paul says, I need a man who can think beyond circumcision. And I said, it's one of the covenants in the Bible. But he was able to think beyond some of the covenants in the Bible. Because he understood that covenant is temporal. But he was teaching something eternal. But he missed it, Peter. That's why God chose Paul. Because he could transcend limitations that were strategic at a particular point. Last point on this first point is the issue of Christ. I've got 2 points. I've got 2 points. The first point has got 3 points. Right? The second point has got 2 points. So I've got 2 points. So epistemic master, look, in a very deliberate way, the implication of this is that we must read the Bible. We must read the Bible. But our reading of the Bible must transcend the Bible. The Bible is a geographically located book. The Bible is not written universal. It's located. It's written in particular sociology. If you're only going to read the Bible, you're going to miss the world. How do you read the Bible? And out of that, and imagine in different sociological spaces. that's a responsibility. And that will require you to read extra biblical material. So we must understand that. And then we pick out those things that are normatively relevant. I get surprised today we're still debating about head cover. I'm saying, is that the biggest issue you can discuss today? I'm saying that, and to help show people that some of the things are not theological, I'm saying the covering that Paul talks about is not biblical. It's not biblical, the covering. It's a creation of a culture. When God created, one of the things he didn't create was a covering. Here is a covering for women next to the tree. It's a creation. It was not there. And that helps you to understand how theology works. God employs creations of culture for a particular point. But the point is not the creation of culture. The point is something deep. The point is not the cross, but what God can do in the cross. So that thing Paul was using it to demonstrate the point about submission. Now people have lost submission, they're stuck with that veil. Running around every church forcing veils on women. But people miss those things. This principle must be understood. But lack of epistemic mastery of the Bible. I was at varsity and this guy just found a girlfriend and he says Motsamai, I found this girl. Now the first lesson I want to do is to teach her about head covering. Well, we're still young, so my friend was lucky because there was trace of epistemic mastery on my part. I said, my friend, you may end up winning the head covering issue by losing the woman. So, I think the most important thing, let's win her heart first. You see, win her heart when she loves you. Maybe you can talk about that. But then I had a Bible study with him to assist him to leave that thing. Say, these things are necessary, my brother. Then we tell him, my friend is a very happy man today. Amen. Because we had to liberate his mind. But you can see how traditions can become religion. Look, I go to some church, I'm wearing some, I was wearing this African attire. And one in the afternoon, this woman, the first, why were you wearing like that? I thought it was so backwards to me. I thought it was so bad. Why are you worried about my clothes? First thing I'm worried about, why? Why worried about my clothes? And look, politics is very important. Black bodies are used to being policed, even being told how to dress. That's why some of the elders, and in the Bible, we need to avoid this. The most important thing, one people in the church, and the least important thing is how they look. When you come with the hair that comes here, come with that hair. We want you. Our interest is you, not how you look.
Thank you.
The look, what we have works, it will deal with the looks. But because we don't trust it, we must assist it. Come with scissors. We're coming to us. Come with scissors. The word is a two-edged sharp. Sharper than any two-edged sword. But because it's blunt, we need scissors. Coming to preach, this man comes with a tie. But I don't need a tie. So you're not going to enhance anything that I'm going to say. Instead, it's going to irritate me. That's why I don't have it in my wardrobe. And I told him I'm not going to preach if you give me that thing. Why? Because I have to teach him something more fundamental. I have to teach, allow me to be able to be a subject of myself, to decide how I'm going to appear in the world. And if there's something wrong with me, you must show it from the Bible. You're going to start to find your tie in the Bible. Then you're going to have a serious problem. Because you can't with an unbiblical thing. Sola Scriptura. Right? Now, why I'm mentioning this thing is because Adventism can bet in Adventism. I'm not going to listen to this preacher. Why? No time. Not going to listen to the word of God because of a tie. Simple. I'm not going to listen. There's no jacket. In the Bible, we don't need that kind of attitude. It's going to hurt us. It's going to hurt us. It's not important. It's not important. Truth. The truth is that people must be committed to Christ.
Amen.
That's more difficult to do than all other things.
Amen.
The last point on this third point, on this first point, is the idea that the idea of praxis. The idea of praxis. The idea of practice. A very important point. The very important point is that Paul's commitment was not merely cognitive. Paul's commitment was not something that he understood and admired intellectually. It's something that translated into practice. Something that translated into practice. Many of us Adventists, we are stuck with an intellectual religion. These are two worlds. There's a world of practice and there's a world of thought. We are stuck on thought, little on practice. Paul's commitment was able to translate into a bodily exercise. It was something that he lived. He believed it so much that it was only necessary and logical that he should live it. The power of the gospel is not how well we understand it, but it's how well it can adjust us in the world. How well it can adjust into our practice. That's why Paul says, follow me as I follow Christ. Many of us say, read the Bible. We point people continually to the Bible. Paul was so comfortable with the Bible that he could point you to himself. Follow me as I follow Christ.
Yeah. Yeah.
Commitment must find expression in behavior. Otherwise, it is not commitment at all. Commitment, if it is true, must force itself into our hands, must force itself into our feet, must force itself into our pockets, must force itself to our WhatsApps, our Facebooks, our Twitter accounts, must force itself into everything we do. Commitment, if it is truly true. And that's my worry, that practice is not important. Practice is not important. And we don't hold each other accountable for that. We don't hold each other accountable for that. So, and Paul holds himself accountable. He says, look, the standard is Christ. Follow me as I imitate the standard. As I imitate the standard. Christ has disappeared from the world today because there are very few people who are following Christ today. The world doesn't know him. And historically, we are far removed from him. We're 2,000 years away from him. The most important reminder of that Christ was in the world is not the many churches we see. The most important reminder is when in our behavior there will be fragments and traces of Christ. Amen. That is why when they were called Christians, these were outsiders who were looking at these people. And they said, look, these people, they live like him. They walk like him. They talk like him. They think like him. In their conduct, it was impossible not to see Christ and say, these are Christians. So it was, so they were observed. They were observing these people. Empirical evidence said, these are Christians. Practice is important. And this for me is very easy. It's very easy. It's not difficult to know that you're going to hell. It's not difficult. Two important sources. Source number one are people who are close to you. We can tell you whenever we know. Because they see you. They live with you. They see your lies. They see your selfishness. So those places are places where we must hold people responsible. That young man of Abraham knew there and there that my father is going to heaven. He knew. If this man can sacrifice what he loves so much, the young man didn't need the Bible. He didn't need the Bible. The father's life was enough. Some of our children are struggling to accept Adventism because we are the enemies of Adventism. We are the enemies of Adventism. From the fridge to the bedroom, we are enemies of Adventism. Our fridge is against the spirit of prophecy. Our sitting rooms are against the Bible. And how do they embrace it when we daily negate it?
Amen.
So commitment is demanding. Commitment is demanding even to the fridge.
Yes.
Take volume 3 testimonies and look at your fridge. Something must leave the fridge. Minutes of healing. Minutes of healing must be the guiding. If we are here to heal the world, healing must happen in our homes. I like this idea of a health expo. But health expo must happen now. When you get into the house, there must be a health expo. Hey, my health expo in London. Just entering, it's a health expo. The kind of eating is all over. Kind of eating. It's an orange, it's a this, it's a this. Hey, beetroot juice, kind of eating. Coca-Cola. The one that Adventists are lifting up. Do you understand how demanding commitment is? Sometimes you love these things, but because you're committed, but you're not fully committed, you drink them a 13 we one. Drink them alone in the bush. Come back and continue with beetroot juice. Because there's a bigger mission here. These kids. My failures must not translate to them. So Adventism is very demanding. Very demanding. When you come to your house, you must explain this cook, there was an uncle. No, don't want to explain to us. Uncle. You don't want to know. Don't want to know. So those are some of the biggest things that we need to really think about. Us. My friend is a vegan today. He's been a vegan for a long time. This guy was unemployed, broke as hell. And some people don't believe in hell. I could see hell. How broke that man was. This guy, so committed was that he would rather eat bread and banana. At some point he would be eating porridge and peanuts. So when you're looking at it, it looks so stupid. Young man in his teens caught by commitment. This young man got diagnosed with TB at some point. He refused. They say, you need some meat. He refused. He says, if I have to die in this hospital, I'll die. He was caught by commitment. People tried to convince him. But just once, just once. He said, no, I don't want it even once. I'm an Adventist. I have accepted the 3 angels' messages. And I am not going to take even an ounce of that chicken next to my teeth. Refused, this man, in a bed. Refused. And for me, look, I'm not going to look whether he was a stream or not, but the analysis, look at how committed this man is. How committed he is. And that's what commitment must do to you. It must make you look like you're mad. But because you don't have the commitment, it's okay to see a madman. Wait until you're caught by something that you're committed to. When men are in love, they drive at night 5 hours together. No petrol to come back. I'll sort those issues forward. Commitment, burning there, man. I see very, very committed people usually. Everything must be in order. Commitment doesn't work like with order. Because commitments are disruptive. Very disruptive. So the point I was making is a question of practice. Question of practice. And look, we always tell people to pray every day. People still don't pray today. You understand what I mean? Pray, people don't pray. Fast, people don't fast. And because we don't do those practices, that's why many of us fall into so many temptations. And those animal temptations, they kill us because we don't fast. Fasting gives you power over the material body. But the more you eat every day, eat and drink and all of those things that you eat, you're making the body susceptible to animality. We didn't have to tell you that because you're an Adventist, but because you're not understanding the commitment you are in, that's why we have to deal with that black bottle. And expect to overcome temptation. Practice. Chapter 7, as I say, butter and honey shall he eat, so he may know how to resist evil. You see the logical implication? So he may know how to resist. By what? So practice is very important. Practice is very important. So let's change. And think about how we're going to change. And the starting point is working on our commitment to Christ, right? Let me go to the last point. The ethics and politics of Paul's commitment. The fundamental question that we should ask ourselves, what is that single most important value that drives your life? Single most important value that drives your life. Single most important value that drives your life. One, what is that single most important value that drives your life? A lot of us have not thought hard about commitment because we're not committed to anything. Not committed to anything. We're not committed to anything. The most important thing that we're committed to is survival. Month to month survival. That's what you're committed to. The only thing that you wake up early for is your work, because directly connected to your survival. Most important value. And that's functioning at the level of an animal. Because what you're feeding is nutrition, animals also eat, and reproduction. Those are two things we share in common with animals. And if you're functioning at that level, you're functioning at the animal level. And the devil has got us right there. We wake up every day, we drive up and down, we have hundreds of meetings. Most important value, nutrition and shelter as well is part of it. Shelter as well. Functioning at that low level. Christianity is a call for humanity to transcend the animal. Correct. That's a deep argument that Paul is saying. How do we call people outside of animality into humanity? It's a call, it's a call we're making. It's a radical call we're making. We're calling people back to humanity. That's why Christ says in the last days they'll be eating, drinking, and getting into marriage, concerned about animal concerns. Wow. No transcendental value driving their lives. And Paul says, for me to live is Christ. That's the value that drives him. For me to live is Christ. The most important thing in my life is Christ. Paul says, I have left everything. Everything. Paul says they're like dung. They're like dung. Left everything. Most important value is a person, Jesus Christ. And all that surrounds him. Paul says, I go from place to place to preach this man. I get persecuted, I get beaten, I get insulted. All that doesn't count. What counts is the name of Christ. How intrusive is this value? More and more I see how the world is shaped by capital. More and more I see how capitalism is shaping us. I see how it shapes us. The most important thing in our lives is money. That is why you can't even get married in this church if there's no money. And the basis of the gospel is love. But love is also managed by money. And people have got a powerful economic argument to make against theology. Are you going to eat love? Powerful economic argument. You're going to eat love. You're going to eat love. Present yourself as a marriage candidate. The first thing that the parents ask, where does he work? Not going to ask, how committed is he to Christ? That's not the most important thing. The most important thing is how much of animal desires can he satisfy? Can he buy you a diamond ring? Those are important questions. I'm not saying those questions are important. I'm just saying they've become the most important questions. It's become the most important questions. Most important questions. We're not going to ask him that fundamental question. How committed is he to Christ? Is he going to lead you heavenwards? Is he going to lead you heavenwards? Is he going to take you to Dubai? That's the most important question. We're going to meet the Gupta or something in Dubai. We've lost it. But Christ, Paul says, for me, it's this man. It's for this man. He says, I know the hope I have in him. I've invested everything in him. If I die, I'm not worried because I'm safe in this man. We've got all the medical, all the financial insurances, but one insurance we could have.
Yeah. And it's very
Our capital has captured us. They've captured us. And more, the message But anyways, out of the cities, I think it was designed to deal with this capturing. It's very capturing because you have to think about your bond. If you finish your bond, you have to think about the levies that are increasing 10% every year. This is bad. You have to think about expensive schools. Very capturing. And all of these are long projects. Finish school, high school, university. Very capturing. You are done with your captured, they capture your child. All of us are just captured. I don't think it takes time. Everyone must wake up at 5, deal with the traffic. So captured. So captured. So captured. I was talking to Leon about this capturing. He was captured already, but I was still in bed saying, man, that's why I work where I work. Because I'm less captured than you. So, the question is that we have not understood Christianity to be political.
Yes. And it is.
We have not understood. Ellen White, in some of her thinking, she seems to approximate this thought. When she says don't join political parties, the biggest point she was making is that you may be promoting two contrasting manifestos.
Correct.
So that's a deep point that Ellen White, she doesn't quite put it the way I put it, but I think that's what she had in mind. She says, look, you've got a manifesto that is packaged properly. So you may end up representing better life for all without the cross. But your package already is packaged a particular way. And this may conflict, both in terms of ethics and in terms of practice. So you may need to decide how you're going to manage the two. So the best thing to do is stay away from it. Deal with the manifesto I've given you. Because already it is too demanding. Then we will be seen challenging politicians to higher standards than the constitutions of this world demand. We will be seen echoing voices of liberations, voices of possibilities, voices of freedom, voices of love, because we have a different manifesto. And that's the depth of what the Bible should be doing. So Paul, they want to kill him. All disciples were killed because they were disturbing political programs. They were disturbing political programs. That is why they had to be killed. And the killing had to be public to defend a particular political program. Our program has no advocates, only as preachers who depend on a salary. That's why you can delay them with a salary. You can fight issues with domestic issues of labor. Paul was not employed by anyone. He says, I'm an apostle of Christ. You can give me donations if you want. But if there are no donations, the gospel will continue. There's some white people by the church, they're a problem. Because they become, they're a serious problem, those people. They become employees, those people, not servants of Christ. So when I think we're dealing with a messenger, no, it's not a messenger, it's an employee, this one. These people are reporting to an office on earth. And they think that's all there is to this thing. They're a problem, these people. And these people, they joined their own camps where they fight now for positions in the church. Because they're not, they're employees, these people. They're not servants of Christ. We've got that problem of those employees. And we love them and are afraid of them. We must speak truth to power. We must speak truth to power. And say, we want people who are servants of Christ. Who receive this money so they can go serve. Not so they can come and compete with us. It's because they've got the wrong end of the politics. The politics is Christ is the most single important value in the world. And because of that, we're willing to live or even to die for this value. Gospel, there's this book, Testimonies to Ministers and Gospel Workers. And when it says, presidents of conference must not be gods. It's not me, it's Testimonies to Ministers and Gospel Workers. I've read that book as well. They must not be gods. And ministers must not relate to them as gods. Their mandate comes from heaven. It's just facilitated through this. The facilitator becomes the most important thing. It's meant only to be a catalyst. So, but you see the Paul's thinking. So we are stuck there. Because now we have to fight about little things. But the most important thing is Christ. When we have conducted a program, the question that we must ask, have we elevated Christ as the most important thing? And then we must come back and ask, have we used finances correctly? And this kind of accountability must happen because people who are facilitating the gospel are human like us. They're not angels. And therefore we want to see the reports when we have sent them into office. You can't treat them like, hey, we're going to pray. Wait on prayer, my brother. We've dealt with prayer. Now we want to evaluate your performance. You can't tell us about prayer. We prayed already. We've been praying all this time. We need to hold people accountable. We need to hold people accountable. I raised a hand in some church in East London. This man is an elder. He makes a recommendation and then he endorses the recommendation himself. I'm not a member of the church. I raised my hand and said, this is out of order, my elder. This is abuse of power. Well, he's a friend of mine now because I had to engage him. Why are we doing that? We are trying to help the church to be effective. So, single most important value. So that's why in the Old Testament, there were letters that are written. People were supposed to read them every day. Love God with all your heart. We need to find ways to demonstrate that this is important to us in our homes. There must be rooms dedicated to a place where each one of us must go and rededicate ourselves to God. We've got rooms for everything except for prayer. I stay in a 3-bedroom flat. All of those are occupied with other commitments. But there's no one who say this is just where any one of us can come anytime and dedicate ourselves to God. If this is a priority, it must find a concrete manifestation. Commitments must be practical. The last point is this: changing lives, changing the world. So, the most important change in a people's life is not them getting an Adventist membership. Because I know very corrupt Adventist members. So membership must not be the standard. What must be the standard? The standard must be, how committed are these people to Jesus? That's the standard we must set for people. I don't care how many people you baptize. Some of those very stressed and they just need something to relieve themselves. Just get into water, come refresh. I'm not interested in that. The question that I'm interested in, how is this thing going to change their lives? How is this going to change their lives? Some of these people live on antidepressants. Some of these people need sleeping tablets before they can sleep. Some of these people don't know what joy is. Some of these people don't know what peace is. And we talk about peace that surpasses understanding. That is how we must measure this thing. Right? We need to imagine the gospel changing people's lives practically. Yes. Not interested just in them fellowshipping with me. I'm interested in something more. More and more, we must start asking, what is the value proposition promised by the gospel? And how does it materially affect these people? How does it affect them? How does it change their outlooks? How does it make them better husbands? How does it make them better people in the world? How does it make them better employees? How does it make them people who can contribute to their societies? Well, those are questions we should be asking. And I'm saying those are important questions precisely because Christ is what he was doing. After leaving some towns, there would not be even a single sick person. Changing people's lives. People's weddings were no longer the same after he passed through them. The gospel must be about that. How do you change people's lives? How to erect a new confidence and self-esteem in people's lives? The oppressed black people who doubt themselves, who go to school not to learn but to deal with their blackness, how do we rescue them and teach them to be human again? That's a question that animates me. That's a question that animated Paul. When he went from town to town, from city to city, from church to church, how do we change people's lives? How do we change people's lives? How do we improve the quality of their lives? How do we improve their cognitive space? How do we make them to be thinkers? How do we make them to have mastery over their own lives? That's the question that animates me every day. Or they may even join our church, that's great. But the question for me that's important, how do we change the world? How do we change the world? How do we leave meaningful prints in people's lives? We know we've created a better world. Until we take seriously this political position that we must change lives and the world, our gospel is not going to be effective. And the most important thing for us is going to be a crusade.
Yes.
Because it shows you how you think about the world. I'm not criticizing what we're doing this year, I love it. But I'm just saying that we need to think about how does a unit of a home become our target?
Wow.
In light of all the technological devices we have, how to intrude. We need to think at that level. And we need to, that's why we need to pray at that level. Because my concern is there are children that grow up in these homes who will not be able to come to a crusade, but whose lives must be affected by a change in this land. How do I facilitate that? Concern that I have. I want to pray for these two things. God help us to be committed to Christ. God help us to embrace the politics of being committed to Christ, changing people's lives. The two things I want to pray about. If you want to pray with me, please stand up and let's pray. Let's pray. Father, we thank you for your love. We thank you for your mercy. Lord, I'm just a mere mortal, limited in many ways. I thank you, Lord, for the opportunity that you have given us to deliberate upon one of the great lives in this world, the life of your servant, Paul. What an inspiring life. What a challenging life. What an impactful life. We look into our own lives, Lord, in the various stations and spheres of life you have put us, and we are amazed by the banality of our presence, by the defectiveness of our presence. How we are not as effective as we could be. How we are not those who are carrying the banner of the cross, blood-stained banner that says there's hope, there's healing, there's redemption in the blood of Jesus. Lord, we're amazed by our silence when injustices perpetrated with evil spirit happen in our presence, yet there's no voice that speaks justice that emanates from the love of the cross. Justice that imagines possibilities of freedom for the weak, for the marginalized, for the dispossessed, for those who are nobodies and who are nothing in the world. They have no voice in us. Lord, we are motivated today that we want to make a new commitment to you. We want to be your servants. We want to be your subjects. We want to be enrolled. We want to be enlisted as citizens of heaven. We want to be ambassadors of that glorious calling of Jesus. But Lord, we can't be that if we're not committed to you. Lord, renew our membership, not just in the books of this world. Renew our membership by touching and reigniting our hearts. Remove the heart of stone and give us a heart of flesh, inscribed with your law, that now we listen nothing but the dictates of your law. May your Spirit, Lord, leave. May your Spirit, Lord, woo us into better and bigger things. So where we are, there may be possibilities for others. Lord, there's so much politicking happening in the world, even in your church. But the politicking that is least done is a politicking of taking Jesus as the single most important virtue, through which we can stand as posers, through which we can always be in a position to issue an argument that there is a better way, there is a better world, and that better way and better way is in Jesus. Lord, everyone here, I pray for them that they may commit the keeping of their souls in your hands, where they will be safe. Lord, when all has been said and done, we want to thank you for making us a part of this glorious mission of bringing people to you, of making possibilities for people to realize there's so much more their lives could experience if properly invested in you. Lord, we thank you for being part of that. Many of us, Lord, have been affected by lethargy and laziness. Oh, Lord, forgive us. Give us new zeal and zest so that we may get into the field to change people's lives. Lord, we don't have to go far. Our families, our friends, our colleagues are waiting to see what the gospel can do in our lives and what we can share with them. But we thank you. You bless your church, bless its leadership, bless its membership. You know their plans, you know their goals, you know their desires, you know their limitations, you know their constraints. I pray your blessing upon them. I pray that your countenance may always face them and shine upon them, and all the good things be on them. This I pray, trusting in nothing but the merits of Jesus. Amen. Amen.
We are going to we're going to rise with number 79. We are going to take number 79 in English. When we get it, shall we all rise?